What's up, guys? Welcome to the Comic Web. Ty here again, here to rank my favorite Marvel Cinematic Universes, or I'm gonna rank all of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Okay, and my list might be a little controversial towards the top. I'm gonna go from worst to best in this epic 23 movie or 20, I think it's 22 or 23 movie saga, the Infinity Saga. Right off the bat, if you got some time during this pandemic, if you're quarantined, these are great films, all of them. I don't think one of these movies is a horrible film, first off. I think a lot of these films are so full of heart. They're colorful, they're fun, even the dark ones, and even the worst one on this list is still, it's not like I'm not going to watch it in my MCU um, marathon. So I've seen every one of these movies. I don't know how many times. So let's just get started so this video is not too long. At the bottom of the list is going to be Thor: The Dark World. This movie was just screwed up from the beginning. I love Thor as a character and what they do with him later on, but man, this movie is boring, man. It's just so boring. The Dark Elf stuff is boring. You get some cool character development with Loki, or you think you do, but then at the end, it just kind of turns out he's just a jackhole anyway. There's not much I can say about this. Natalie Portman's great. Chris Hemsworth's great. Tom Hiddleston and Anthony Hopkins, they're all great. The acting is not the problem. It's just the story is lame. The Infinity Stone in it is lame. None of it's good. Just none of it's good. So Thor: The Dark World is on the bottom. The next one is The Incredible Hulk. Yes, this is an MCU film. Yes, this is a super beat up, faded copy of the film. I bought this. I mean, this is super beat up, but I bought this when I was buying all the films to begin with. When this movie came out, I remember seeing it in the theaters with friends, and at the time, I had no idea that they were connecting all these films. This was after Iron Man, I believe, and it was mind-blowing, the ending credits. I was like, oh my god. But when you go back and watch it, especially compared to all the other Phase 1 movies, it's just not there, man. It's just not that good. Like, Abomination is cool. Edward Norton is good. But man, this is just one of those stinkers, in terms of the rest of the MCU, even Phase 1, this is just a stinker, and that's why it's so low on the list. Next up, boom, Thor 1. Back when they dyed Chris Hemsworth eyebrows blonde. I like this movie quite a bit. I actually think that this is a super, super fun movie. This was still in the beginning. You knew that Marvel was setting stuff up. I remember going and seeing this in the theater with my wife. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, and we really, really had a fun time, man, and there's a lot of good out of this. There's also a lot of goofy things. The set is kind of weird. Natalie Portman's great. Chris Hemsworth is great. This is really when I started realizing that they were going, in the right direction. Iron Man 2, it's just Iron Man 2. It's not as good as the first one, and it's really not that bad. I know for a long time, a lot of people were hating on this film. I like the movie. I like Whiplash. I like everything about it. Mickey Rourke is great in the movie. Gwyneth Paltrow, as Pepper Potts, is just phenomenal through the entire MCU. I think this is Don Cheadle's first appearance as the War Machine, and that whole ending sequence is so sick if you're a Marvel fan. Even though Iron Man before these movies was a C-rank hero, I remember the cartoon, I am Iron Man, from back in the day, and War Machine in that show. It was freaking awesome, and Scarlett Johansson as Black Widow shows up, and it just starts to set everything up. The next is another Iron Man film. That's Iron Man 3, the Christmas film in the MCU. When this first came out, I kind of hated it. I'm not going to lie. I didn't like what they did with the Mandarin. I was like, no, I don't like this. It kind of ends like you think, okay, this is the last we're going to see of Iron Man. But, not really, because he makes so much money, and he's kind of the leader of the Avengers. So he does come back. But going back, this is a really, really, really good movie. It's funny. It's got some heart. It's so much heart behind it. Deals with Iron Man after the Avengers, and his PTS deals with PTSD, I think, in a really good way. And yeah, there's not much more to say, man. I think it's great. I think it's a great movie. Captain America, the First Avenger, man. I freaking love this movie. When this movie came out, I was just like, oh my God, like I loved it, man. I still, to this day, I love all the Cap movies. This hit me a lot when it came out. Captain America is kind of a goofy hero to most people. My father-in-law, that's his favorite hero, favorite character of all time. He owns all the single issues from Silver Age to now to modern. Similar to my obsession with Spider-Man. And for him, this was a big deal. And it was a big deal for superhero pop culture phenomenon in general. Just a good American hero. Yeah, I think it's great, man. It's, at the time, the best superhero movie ever. Probably, man. It was freaking phenomenal. Who plays Red Skull? I don't even remember, man. He doesn't play Red Skull anymore, but he was freaking phenomenal. Hugo Weaving. How can I forget that? Was phenomenal as Red Skull. Bucky, Cap. He jumps on the grenade to save everybody, man. So full of heart. Phenomenal. Controversial that this is so low. Doesn't mean I don't think it's phenomenal. Boom, Black Panther and that gorgeous steelbook, 4K steelbook. When this movie came out, I've never seen a cultural phenomenon like it. It was so, his first appearance in Civil War, I think, was just freaking phenomenal. But man, his own solo film, the lead up, the hype when it was in the movie theaters, I freaking love it, man. It's a great movie. Why I ranked it so low, unfortunately, the CGI does lack in a lot. Between the fight between him and Killmonger, it kind of got me a little sick. I was like, I don't like this. It doesn't look good at all. It didn't look good. But the rest of Wakanda did. It's just a great movie, man. I love T'Challa in the comics. I love Black Panther so much. And this is nothing short of a cultural phenomenon, to say the least. Doctor Strange, a movie that has tons of CGI, and it looked better than Black Panther, in my opinion. Yeah, man, there's not much to say about this film, honestly. I really, really love it. Benedict Cumberbatch, when he was cast, I kind of thought that was, like, perfect. I was like, yeah, of course, he is Stephen Strange. He's about as close to perfect casting as Robert Downey Jr., in my opinion. Movie's freaking bananas, man. It's some of the best looking CG in the MCU. And it's funny. I think the story's interesting. But after a second viewing, it kind of falls short. But that first time you see it, man, I just think it's awesome. It's one of my favorite origin stories in the MCU, and I love it. I can't wait for the Multiverse of Madness. Again, controversial. Captain Marvel with Brie Larson. I loved this movie. Granted, I've only seen it one time. So this, and like I said, this is a quick ranking. This could change anytime. Captain Marvel, I just loved it, man. I'm a big fan of the female representation. I didn't think the jokes were too heavy-handed. I laughed a lot. I thought it was super colorful. And what I love about the movie is it feels like a Phase 1 movie to me. And I don't think that's a bad thing. You know, that's a criticism I've heard, but I think that's a great thing. I love it. I think it's fun. I like Brie Larson. The young Samuel Jackson or young Nick Fury, I thought was crazy. And the young Phil Coulson and all the 90s references. I just thought it was great. I really had a fun time watching it. So, Captain Marvel. Okay. I have a bunch of steelbooks. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Came out after Infinity War. Overall, I liked it. Not as much as the first one. It's Paul Rudd is phenomenal. And I think her name's Evangeline Lilly is phenomenal as the Wasp. Set her up in the first one. I love the first Ant-Man, which we'll talk about. But, this it's just great, man. And it was nice after Infinity War, something so heavy and something so intense, to get something lighthearted and fun. I loved Ghost. And at the end credit scene, man, if you weren't on the edge of your seat pretty much screaming, I almost stood up. Yeah, phenomenal. Ant-Man and the Wasp. This one kind of like varies where it goes on the list. This is the Avengers Age of Ultron. Again, another beautiful 4K steelbook. David Spade as, or James Spader, I don't remember his name, as Ultron. He's from The Office. As Ultron. Oh my lord, amazing, amazing, amazing. The best part of the film, honestly, the introduction to Vision, Scarlet Witch, and their weak sauce version of Quicksilver. Hate that guy, hate that guy. Love that actor, hate that character. He's just a waste, in my opinion. Fox did a much better Quicksilver. But, you know, it's a great film, nonetheless. Bunch of iconic moments. Vision picking up Thor's hammer. Iron Man kind of being a little bit of a douche. Like, you're kind of like, oh man, I don't really like him very much. Yeah, there's not much more I can say about it, honestly. Like, I think it's pretty weak in comparison to the first one, but overall, I still really like the movie. Captain America, the Winter Soldier. This is controversial. This is a lot of people's favorite film of all time. Okay. Love the movie. I will say that it is one of the best made movies. The Russo brothers introduction. At the time, I wasn't that into. I read a lot of Spider-Man. That was pretty much it. I didn't really know Captain America stuff. I had no idea the Winter Soldier was Bucky. Blew my freaking mind in the movie theater. And I just think that this is a phenomenal movie. Like, it's so good. The character's development's so good. What's going on with S.H.I.E.L.D. is so good. The betrayal and the first introduction to Falcon. You know, Anthony Mackie, man, he's just a freaking charm through the whole MCU, and I can't wait to see what they're going to do with him in the Falcon and the Winter Soldier show coming up. But yeah, man, phenomenal film. And honestly, like, this is when Marvel took a superhero movie, and showed people that it could be more than just a superhero movie. Turn it to a spy espionage thriller. Phenomenal movie. Boom. I put Ant-Man above the Winter Soldier for good reason. I think that I love Paul Rudd, okay, first off. This movie, weak villain. But man, taking Scott Lang instead of Hank Pym and making him the Ant-Man for the MCU, freaking incredible idea. I had no idea how they were going to do that. I was kind of like, oh, it's not Hank Pym. But Hank Pym's still there, played by Michael Douglas. And, man, it is just... Isn't it Michael Douglas? Yeah, Michael Douglas. And, man, Evangeline Lilly, the whole freaking cast, man, is so funny. Michael Pena, I don't know how you pronounce it. The characters are lovable. Even T.I. and stuff. Characters are lovable and funny and memorable. I love the action. Him shrinking. And the scene when they're on the Thomas the Train and he goes between the molecules. I mean, I love the movie. I saw it twice in theaters, and I watch it as much as I can. I love the movie. I think it is underrated as crap. Ant-Man. Here we go, man. The one that started it all. I could watch this movie all the time, man. Anytime it's on, I could watch it and love it. Iron Man 1. I remember seeing it in the theaters, and I remember just being completely blown away by it, man. Putting Iron Man on the map. I just can't believe that it happened. It all started here. You know, Robert Downey Jr., Jeff Bridges, Gwyneth Paltrow, everyone just did such a phenomenal job, man. And it holds up so well. So many quotes in it, like, I want an American cheeseburger, I'm the bogey. You know, my favorite scene in any of the Iron Man movies is when he crashes in that town and the missile things come up off of his shoulders and hit everybody in the forehead. So many memorable moments. This is the one that started it all, and it's freaking phenomenal. Must I say more? Guardians of the Galaxy. The first one that everyone was kind of like, oh, I can't believe Marvel's gonna, do that. This is gonna be Marvel's first failure, and they were wrong. It turned. This is a lot of people's favorite movie in the MCU, and for good reason. Chris Pratt's phenomenal. Dave Bautista, Vin Diesel, Bradley Cooper, Zoe Saldana. It proved that you can have a group movie without making a backstory for every single character, similar to the Avengers. And man, this was the first Marvel movie that I laughed my tail off, man. I freaking love this movie. Like I said, a lot of people's favorite movie, and I can see that. More controversy. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. I like it more than the first one. I don't know the story of Ego and the Living Planet. I love what they did with that. Instead of just making them a giant planet with a face, they gave them character. Kurt Russell did a phenomenal job as that. You know, and I don't want to spoil like these movies too much, because in case for some reason you haven't watched them. Chris Pratt does a freaking amazing job. Bradley Cooper kills it. Baby Groot, oh my god. Everything about this movie I love so much. And it has one of the best end credit scenes, in my opinion, in the entire MCU. The big one, Avengers 1, and that beautiful 4K Steelbook they released about a year or two ago. I mean, what can I say, man? One of the best movies of all time. I could watch this anytime. The 4K version is spectacular. I think it is amazing. I'm a media snob. I gotta have like the best looking movie I can get. And man, Joss Whedon just did such a phenomenal job. I don't think Age of Ultron comes anywhere close to as good as how this movie is. I mean, I could watch it all the time. So many iconic moments. The Avengers, the first time they gather in that circle. There's only one God, ma'am, and he doesn't dress like that. And he jumps down. Give me back my stuff. You know what I mean? Like, stuff like that. So good. And the end credit scene where they introduce Thanos for the first time, man. I remember being in the theater, and me and one other guy got up, and we're like, oh my god. And everyone in the theater was just kind of like, what? Well, even my wife, she's like, who's that? He kind of looks like the raisin, like a purple raisin. Phenomenal. Oh my god. Just incredible. Love it. Captain America, Civil War. God, I remember the movie theater experience. I went to Red Robin with my family, and we went and saw this. And first introduction to my favorite superhero of all time in the MCU, Spider-Man. First introduction to Black Panther. This deals with some heavy stuff, man. Two superheroes that we love and have followed through the entire MCU on separate sides. It was just, I think it's just so well done. It's dark. It's a dark Marvel movie for sure. But the Russo brothers came back and killed it again. The villain, like, is I don't know. I go back and forth on the villain, but hopefully they'll do a better job with him in Falcon and Winter Soldier. That's all I'm going to say, because I don't want to spoil it. But Peter Parker's introduction, for me, blew my freaking mind. It was so perfect, and it's exactly what I wanted out of Spider-Man since the Tobey Maguire movies. Yeah, man. So, that's all I can say. Thor Ragnarok. Boom. Phenomenal. Funniest movie in the MCU. Best Guardians of the Galaxy movie in the MCU. Don't at me. Thor Ragnarok is phenomenal. The first time Thor felt like a great film. When they announced Thor Ragnarok, I was kind of like, yeah, whatever. And I noticed the logo was super different, and I was like, ooh, this is super colorful. I saw the trailers. I'm like, this is going to be incredible. Planet Hulk and the Thor and the Ragnarok story kind of combined in its own thing. So many funny moments. Jeff Goldblum is phenomenal. Thor and Hulk's chemistry is great. Valkyrie's introduction, and the end credit scene got me so hype for Infinity War. But Thor Ragnarok, man, every time I watch it, I just laugh so hard. It's one of my favorites. Okay, man, we're in the last few. And all my movies fell. Spider-Man: Homecoming, phenomenal. It's an S-tier movie, man. If you're a Spider-Man fan, taking Spider-Man back to your friendly neighborhood roots after being trudged through so much trash was so rewarding for me. Michael Keaton, as the Vulture, probably the best villain, if we're not counting Thanos, the best villain in the MCU. Man, I freaking loved it. I only had a few gripes because I'm such a Spider-Man fanboy. I had a few gripes with his character basically being Iron Man Jr. Overall, though, man, I left the theater so, so happy, laughing so, so hard, and this movie is just so full of heart. I love it so, so much. Infinity War, man. And what can I say? We all left the theater jaw dropped. Everybody. The speculation. This was our modern day Empire Strikes Back. And what I mean by that was the heroes lost. And we felt it, man. Thanos won. I have a few gripes, like with the way they do Hulk. And that's just the MCU Hulk I have a gripe with. But this was the time, man. I remember leaving and people crying. I remember a girl in a Loki hoodie was just freaking bawling. And I mean, it just blew my mind. I have never had a theater experience like this one or Endgame, and yeah, man, phenomenal. Boom, Spider-Man: Far From Home, taking Spider-Man and bringing him to Europe, which he has been to Europe in the comics. I saw some people saying that he's never been to Europe, and that's just false. This movie took everything I loved about Homecoming and made it a million times better, besides the villain. I think Mysterio's phenomenal. I love what they did with him. No spoilers. I thought MJ, her character was drastically improved. Peter drastically improved, making his own suit. Still being a little Iron Man Jr.-y, but really setting him up to being his own man. And, you know, Ned was great. I laughed so much in this movie. This was just freaking perfect. And that end credit scene, man, what they do, I don't know what they're going to do moving forward. Kind of feel like it might be a little bit of a mistake, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah, man, just a phenomenal film, man. I could watch it all the time. I think it's better than Homecoming, and it's my number 2 of all time in the MCU so far. And here we go, man. Obviously, Endgame, number 1. Endgame. Like, how can it not be? How can it not be? You know? Like, it's pure hype all the way through. It is just, like, I remember going opening night. I went Friday. I didn't go Thursday. And avoiding spoilers. I had my theories. I had my theories through the whole thing. I did not expect the time travel-y goodness, the timey-wimey stuff. Man, and when I tell you it brought a tear to my eye, and the hype, man, it was like going to a sporting event, man. Everyone was sitting in the theater, and the portal scene, the I Am Iron Man scene, everyone's screaming. Usually I don't like that, but this was a phenomena for sure. And it is one of my favorite movies of all time, arguably my favorite movie of all time. I had to buy the gauntlet. I had to buy the Iron Man gauntlet for the room, man. It's phenomenal. There's not much more to say. It's just one of the greatest movies ever made. And in my opinion, it is the best MCU film ever made. So, yeah, I love it, man. I think there's nothing better. Nothing tops it. So, that was my ranking. This could change, like, the flip of a hat, man. I mean, I could tomorrow say, I like Avengers a little bit more, or I like Spider-Man Homecoming a little bit more, you know? So, yeah, if you're bored in quarantine and you've never seen the MCU movies, do yourself a favor and watch the MCU movies, or even if you haven't watched the MCU movies, watch all the MCU, man. It's all great. S.H.I.E.L.D., everything. And S.H.I.E.L.D. is a part of the MCU. I don't care what anybody says. Everything about the MCU is just so perfect, and I can't wait to see. Unfortunately, Black Widow got pushed back to November because of all this virus stuff. I can't wait to see it because I'll bring a review for you guys, and I will rank it at the appointed time. So, yeah, man, that's it for me. This video went way longer than I thought, but I'm going to have it up tonight, so I will catch you all later. Peace.